Folks, brace yourselves. We're about to dive into a train wreck that's got the Democrat Party in full panic mode. Kamala Harris finally emerging from hiding for a CNN interview, let me tell you, is worse than anyone could have imagined. Stammering, dodging questions, and contradicting herself at every turn. We've got the footage the mainstream media is desperately trying to bury. So get ready to see why this disaster of an interview might just be the final nail in her campaign's coffin. Now, while we're watching political careers crumble, let's talk about building your financial future. Consider World Copper Limited, ticker WCUFF, this American company sitting on a copper gold mine, 7 million tons to be exact. We're talking about 50 million pounds of copper with a potential revenue of over $200 million before they even hit full production. With green tech booming, copper demand is skyrocketing. World Copper trades as WCU on the TSX Venture and WCUFF on the OTC. Don't let this opportunity slip by while politicians fumble. Remember, always do your own research. Check out the stock ticker, the website, and investor presentation in our description. Now, we've just got some leaked footage before the CNN interview leaked. J.D. Vance publishing this, and Donald Trump Jr. actually had to fact check him, saying this is total fake news from J.D. We all know that Kamala isn't that articulate. Remember this moment?
Recent polls have shown a fifth of Americans can't locate the U.S. on a world map. Why do you think this is?
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as, and I believe that they should, our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S. Or should help South Africa and should help the Iraq and the Asian countries, so we will be able to build up our future for our children.
Thank you very much, South Carolina.
Oh, yeah, absolutely brutal moment right there. J.D. Vance posting that on X. Absolute troll. Now, let's see what else is going on. So the day began with some initial footage that was released to tease the interview. And I thought it was interesting. Of course, now we're learning that CNN is not going to release the actual transcript of the full interview. A Muse on X says it didn't go well. Truncated to 18 minutes, will not release the transcript. CNN will air the shortened version. To fill the time, CNN may run inspirational video about Kamala Harris and Walls. 18 minutes. That's all she could handle in a pre-recorded interview. There's no question she got the questions in advance. Now let's take a look here. This is, I want to get to that point. Okay. So this is what they teased before the interview began. Okay. This is how they set up. This is how CNN told everyone, "Hey, we got the interview in the can. Here's a preview."
Should they feel comfortable?
Sorry, hang on. Where did it go? Here it is.
Is going to be your policy. How should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here, in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Now, before she answers, that question, it was a leading question. Dana Bash was basically giving her answers to cling on to so that she could respond. Total softball. Now listen to the word salad.
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act.
You hear that?
This is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time.
Okay.
We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed.
How should voters...
We should set deadlines around time. Okay, whatever that means. And here's a little meme that's been circulating on X. You know, CNN gave Harris and Walz the questions to study. They don't want their precious Kamala to screw up. And here's another meme, Right to Bear Memes posting this. Oh, there is Dana Bash getting ready to throw that softball, and Tim Walz hanging out as the catcher in that situation. We do have another clip I'll play for you later, but it's basically about them busing supporters in to see Kamala. But here's another one. Kamala's CNN interview. Oh, here's a girl. Oh, but wait, she's cheating. She got her notes right there. It's basically how this whole thing went down. Okay, here's another clip. Bash asked a question, what do you say to voters who want to go back? Listen.
Affordable. But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because their groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
Well, let's start with the fact that when Joe Biden and I came in office, during the height of a pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost. Literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of COVID. The economy had crashed.
Wait, how many people? How many people were actually in motorcycle accidents and car accidents, right? But they just listed on the birth certificate.
All of that because of mismanagement by Donald Trump of that crisis. When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America. And today, we know that we have inflation at under 3%. A lot of our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any wealthy nation around the world. But you are right. Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know it, I know it. Which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price of groceries. For example, dealing with an issue like price gouging.
Okay, here's the thing. This is what just kind of blows my mind with all of her solutions. She is in office now. So why wait? Why dangle the carrot? You have the power. You're there. You're the vice president of the United States. Take action. And I think that would actually give her a boost. The American people would see that she's actually doing it. She can go in front of the cameras and say, today, I enacted policy that's going to go ahead and bring down inflation and bring down the prices. And then she could stand there with Joe Biden and say, this is what our administration's done. But no, she doesn't do that. She says, on day one, I'm going to bring it down. That's the most ridiculous campaign position I've ever seen. Here she is. This was a rally. End wokeness posting, if this woman wins, Kim Jong-un will nuke us out of pure irritation.
The government should not be telling her what to do.
Come on. Yeah, okay. No, you come on. Kamala Harris thinks Bidenomics, which brought Americans the worst inflation crisis since the 1980s, it's cost the average family an extra $28,000, paying for the increased cost of living, is a success.
The child tax credit.
You maintain Bidenomics is a success.
I maintain that when we do the work of bringing down prescription medication for the American people, including capping the cost of the annual cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000, when we do what we did in the first year of being in office to extend the child tax credit so that we cut child poverty in America by over 50%, when we do what we have done to invest in the American people and bringing manufacturing back to the United States so that we created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs.
Actually, I believe those are called bounce back jobs. Yeah, that's what that is. You didn't create those jobs. Those jobs were already there, and people are going back to work after the pandemic.
Business back to America. What we have done to improve the supply chain so we're not relying on foreign governments to supply American families with their basic needs, I'll say that that's good work.
You maintain Bidenomics.
Good. Yeah, sure. Okay, so Kyle Becker weighing in. Let's review Kamala Harris's big sit-down interview. Joint interview. Emotional support, VP. 18 minutes long, dimly lit, hiding behind a table, pre-taped, edited. CNN won't release a transcript. Harris is interviewing for the biggest job in America. Is she serious?
This is the pair's first rapper, and we start this hour with the massive breaking news. Our very first look at CNN's exclusive interview with Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris. Harris and her running mate, Governor Tim Walz, sat down with CNN's Dana Bash, an interview that wrapped up just moments ago in Georgia, where Harris and Walz are trying to win over voters in what will be one of the most important swing states in this election. Now, this is the pair's first interview as the Democratic ticket, and it's Harris's first interview since the presidential race was upended less than 6 weeks ago. And I want to go straight to CNN's Dana Bash. Dana, a pivotal time, a pivotal moment in this campaign. The first ballots get mailed out next week. Tell us about the conversation.
Hi, Phil. Well, it was wide-ranging. We talked about several issues that are very important to voters, including and especially, of course, the economy, affordability. One of the key issues for Kamala Harris is that because she has not run on her own since she ran briefly during the 2020 cycle,
and was roundly rejected by the population.
What are her policy positions now versus what they were before? And I asked her about a few very specific policies, for example, on immigration and on the issue of energy, the Green New Deal, fracking, and then more broadly talked about her changes and how that could or should.
So we got some more here. Kamala, first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to strengthen and support the middle class.
Foremost.
If you are elected, what would you do on day one in the White House?
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you, first and foremost, one of my
Here we go again.
highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When I look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people,
so sorry,
I think
guys.
that people are ready for a new way forward.
We certainly are ready for a new way forward. It's called Donald J. Trump. Day one. What are you going to do on day one? Again, why not do it now? Show the American people. Kamala's response to being asked why she presided over a record number of illegal border crossings. Let's listen. Let's listen to this one.
Which we...
During the Biden-Harris administration, there were record numbers of illegal border crossings. Why did the Biden-Harris administration wait 3.5 years to implement sweeping asylum restrictions?
Well, first of all, the root causes work that I did as vice president, that I was asked to do by the president, has...
As the borders are.
Actually resulted in a number of benefits, including historic investments by American businesses in that region. The number of immigrants coming from that region has actually reduced since we began that work. But I will say this.
Okay, so it's from that region it's been reduced, but yet we still have record numbers of border crossers? So you haven't solved the problem. Sure, maybe from one specific region, but how come we're still seeing record numbers come across? Oh, I forgot. It's because they're getting Walmart gift cards and free apartments.
Joe Biden and I and our administration worked with members of the United States Congress on an immigration issue that is very significant to the American people and to our security, which is the border. And through bipartisan work, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, a bill was crafted which we supported, which I support. And Donald Trump got word of this bill that would have contributed to securing our border. And because he believes that it would not have helped him politically, he told his folks in Congress, don't put it forward. He killed the bill. A border security bill that...
Trump killed the bill. That's what she's claiming.
Put 1,500 more agents on the border. And let me tell you something, the Border Patrol endorsed the bill. And I'm sure in large part because they knew they were working around the clock, and 1,500 more agents would help them. That bill would have allowed us to increase seizures of fentanyl. Ask any community in America that has been devastated by fentanyl what passing that bill would have done to address their concern and a pain that they've experienced.
So you would push that legislation again. I just want to ask
Not only push it, I will make sure that it comes to my desk and I would sign it.
Okay, so this is what blows my mind. Day one of the Biden administration, they reversed all of Trump's immigration policies. Remain in Mexico, etc. And then we saw a massive influx of illegals crossing into this country. And it was all done through the stroke of a pen. Biden reversed the policies with a stroke of a pen using executive authority. So the fact is, you guys wasted all this time creating a bill, debating it, pounding your chest, blaming Trump because it doesn't pass, when you have the authority right now to use executive authority and to reinstate Trump's policies. But that you will not do. But you will, apparently now she's supporting a wall. She's supporting building a wall. I thought walls were racist. Oh, it just blows my mind. Okay, we got a lot to get through here. Let's see. Let's see. Dana Bash. Okay, here we go. Here, let's go to Dana Bash roasting Tim Walz for lying about using IVF and his arrest for drunk and reckless driving. Dana Bash doing some journalism? Let's watch.
Fertility. You had to clarify that you had said that you and your wife used IVF, but it turned out you used a different kind of fertility in order to have children.
Ooh, he's squirming.
And then when you ran for Congress in 2006, your campaign repeatedly made false statements about a 1995 arrest for drunk and reckless driving. What do you say to voters who aren't sure whether they can take you at your word?
Well, I've been very public. I think they can see my students come out, former folks I've served with, and they do.
My students, former folks I've served with. See, he's leaning into the teacher and the soldier and the folksy American guy. That's what he's leaning into right here.
For me, I certainly own my mistakes when I make them. The one thing I'll tell you is I wished in this country wouldn't have to do this. I spoke about our infertility issues because it's hell, and families know this. And I spoke about the treatments that were available to us that had those beautiful children there. That's quite a contrast in folks that are trying to take those rights away from us. And so I think people know who I am. They know that record. They've seen that. I've taught thousands of students. I've been out there, and I've taught thousands of students. What does that have to do with the question? Won't apologize for speaking passionately, whether it's guns in schools or protecting of reproductive rights. The contrast could not be clearer between what we're running against. The vice president's position on this has been clear. And I think most Americans get it if you've been through that. I don't think they're cutting hairs on IVF or IUI. I think what they're cutting hairs on is an abortion ban and the ability to be able to deny families the chance to have a beautiful child. The thing I'll tell you is I wished in this country wouldn't have to do this. I spoke about our infertility issues because it's hell, and families know this. And I spoke about the treatments that were available to us that had those beautiful children there. That's quite a contrast in folks that are trying to...
Quite a contrast. Oh, is that right? Is that right? Wait a second. Wait, hold that thought. Hold that thought. What? Contrast? Contrast what?
Company. I'm announcing today in a major statement that under the Trump administration, your government will pay for, or your insurance company will be mandated to pay for, all costs associated with IVF treatment, fertilization for women, IVF treatment.
Okay, so contrast? No, there is no contrast. No contrast, Mr. Walz. Okay, we've got more. We have to get a deal done. This war must end.
This war must end. Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. And we have got to get...
I'm sorry, I'm just watching her, and she looks terrified, especially on this topic, because she's got to get it right. She's got to be able to appease the radical pro-Palestinian faction inside the Democrat Party, the ones that disrupt her rallies, the ones that are protesting in the streets, the ones who are protesting outside the DNC. I mean, she looks terrified. I mean, just look at her face. She doesn't know she does not want to upset those people. So she's got to walk a real fine line here. I'm going to scroll back a minute. Just watch her face. She looks scared.
Far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed.
Look at that face.
And we have got to get a deal done. We were in Doha. We have to get a deal done. This war must end.
In the meantime,
and we must get a deal that is about getting the hostages out. Israel had a right.
Yeah. So she's clearly terrified. But here's a good one. She says she has no regrets about covering up Crooked Joe's cognitive decline.
Biden is Vice President Harris, you were a very staunch defender of President Biden's capacity to serve another 4 years. Right after the debate, you insisted that President Biden is extraordinarily strong. Given where we are now, do you have any regrets about what you told the American people?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have served with President Biden for almost 4 years now, and I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest honors of my career, truly. He cares so deeply about the American people. He is so smart and loyal to the American people. And I have spent hours upon hours with him, be it in the Oval Office or the Situation Room. He has the intelligence, the commitment, and the judgment and disposition that I think the American people rightly deserve in their president.
Vice President Harris, ask you about your opponent, Donald Trump.
Okay.
I was a little bit surprised. People might be surprised to hear that you have never interacted with him, met him face to face. That's going to change soon. But what I want to ask you about is what he said last month. He suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Any
Same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it?
Oh, yeah. You don't want to dwell on that. You don't want to dwell on that, because when you hang your hat that you are the first Indian senator, as all the headlines have said, and then suddenly now you're the first African-American vice president, she's just changing her spots to fit the political mold at the moment. That's why she says, next question, please. She doesn't want to talk about this.
I want to ask you about.
Oh, wow. Donald Trump looking forward to debating Comrade Kamala and exposing her for the fraud she is. Harris has changed every one of her long-held positions on everything. America will never allow an election weaponization Marxist to be president of the United States. Well, that debate is going to be glorious. Absolutely glorious. I cannot wait to see it. The interview was so short that CNN had to pad it out with packages from the campaign trail. Oh, here's a clip. She refuses to say whether she'd legalize crossing the border illegally.
That address and deal.
You raised your hand when asked whether or not the border should be decriminalized. Do you still believe that?
I believe there should be consequence. We have laws that have to be followed and enforced that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally, and there should be consequence. And let's be clear, in this race, I'm the only person who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations who traffic in guns, drugs, and human beings. I'm the only person in this race who actually served a border state as Attorney General to enforce our laws, and I would enforce our laws as president going forward. I recognize the problem.
I'll enforce our laws as president moving forward. Again, why not enforce them now? Really, that's the question of the day. That's the question of the day. And I want to get to that clip I told you about. Listen to this. This just goes to the rallies and speaks to that point about, the AstroTurf that goes on in her campaign. So here we have a softball interview. We have scripted questions, probably handed to her in advance, a heavily edited interview. It's only 18 minutes long, padded out with packages so that they can fill out the full 30-minute segment on their clock for CNN. And then you have this. When there are no music stars available, Kamala Harris turns to busing supporters into her rallies.
Heard that at all, but catch this. It's been since 1992 since a presidential candidate came to Savannah, which was Bill Clinton in the hostess city. Now at the End Market Arena itself, lines stretched around the venue as I was just telling you, and people started getting here as early this morning for the vice president. But for those a little further away from the hostess city, shuttles to the rally contained a lot of excitement.
I was in Atlanta and I heard that the vice president was going to be in Savannah, so I decided to just kind of beeline over here and check it out.
It is crazy at all.
My values.
But catch this.
My values have not changed.
Reduce red meat specifically.
Yes.
The Boston Marathon bomber. They should be able to vote.
I think we should have that conversation.
Abolish ICE.
Yeah.
Would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes, I'm in favor of banning fracking.
I am prepared to pass a Green New Deal.
I support a mandatory buyback program.
We're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals. The idea that more police equals more safety, that's just wrong.
Policing, as we know, goes all the way back to slave patrols and that idea of...
You are absolutely right.
Where do you stand on defund the police?
We need to take a look at these budgets.
Do you ban plastic straws?
I think we should.
70 to 80% tax rate.
I think that's fantastic.
Chip in now to the Minnesota Freedom Fund.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas?
Yeah, I am radical. I do believe that we need to get radical about what we are doing.
I think we can leave it right there. So there you have it, America. We've just witnessed a political implosion on national television. Kamala Harris went into that CNN interview thinking that she could pull the wool over your eyes, but instead she exposed the deep-seated issues that are plaguing her campaign. The stammering, the evasions, the utter lack of substance, it's all there in black and white. So as we move forward, ask yourselves, is this really who the Democrats want leading their ticket? Well, stay tuned because this story is just getting started.